We can now bring in Charlotte Oberti from our InfoMigrants team. Charlotte, good to speak to you now. You just heard there we spoke to a recent graduate of journalism graduate, a Syrian girl living in Kilis, Turkey. So, like her, a large number of displaced people in the region live where this earthquake happened.
Yes, there's an enormous number of Syrians displaced in the area. More than 3.6 million Syrians found shelter in Turkey in the past decade, especially in the areas close to the border with Syria, of course, because many hoped they could come back to their homeland when the situation gets better, more stable there. So they stayed in the vicinity. As an example, in the region of Gaziantep, there are almost 500,000 Syrians. This is approximately 1 inhabitant out of 5. And in Syria, the northwest part of the country, which is the part which has been the most impacted by the quakes yesterday, is also the only region of the country which is no longer controlled by the forces of Bashar al-Assad. It is controlled by rebels. So this is where a lot of people running away from the government-controlled area are currently living. According to estimation, around 2,000 displaced people are living there. This influx has seen the area's population more than double since 2011.
And talk us through the conditions people have been living in, and what about today after the earthquake?
Well, thousands of people, of displaced people, live under tents. I'm going to focus on the northwest part of Syria here. But there is also a significant number of them who live in structures that were built in the past decade in order to deal with the population influx I just talked about. Now, these buildings are very fragile. They've been made in a rush and often with what people had to hand. And on top of that, well, the country is at war, so they've also been damaged by bombs. So the extent of the damage and the number of casualties that we're seeing in the region now can be explained by the fragility of those structures. But it's also important to talk about the poverty of those displaced people, whether in Turkey or Syria. Approximately 2.5 million people in northwest Syria depend daily on humanitarian help to survive.
Indeed. That's what the UNICEF's Director General told me earlier. Thank you very much for that, Charlotte Oberti, there from France 24's InfoMigrants team. That's it from me.